All right, everyone, welcome back to the Stromcast. This is Logan from Strom NZ, and I am here with Sophie from Strom in the UK. Sophie, do you want to introduce yourself to everyone? Yeah,
I'm Sophie. I'm, like I said, from England. Been working with, been part of Team Strom for about 4.5 years now, just before I won my pro card in 2021. I've been competing for the last 9 years, and just retired after competing in my first Olympia a couple of months ago. And yeah,
yeah,
there you go. That's about
awesome.
it.
We'll get into the retirement thing a little bit later because
Yeah.
I know there's always a running gag with you where you say, I'm done, and then sometimes you come back
Yeah,
and then,
no one believes me. Yeah.
yeah, but we'll get into a bit of that. But maybe we'll start
Yeah.
with the Strom side. How did you start working with Strom? Like, what happened in that situation with you?
Oh, that was my that was down to my ex-fiance, who's a part of Team Strom still. We're very good friends.
Yeah,
So yeah, kind of through Christian. So we were together. We'd worked with Strom for a while, and then just throughout the kind of 2020, yeah, throughout 2020, 2021, just kind of got to know everyone, using the products a lot. And then I was kind of like a part of the family anyway. And then it just kind of made it like formal at
yeah,
some point in 2021.
yeah. That's similar. Well, not really similar to me. Mine was more forced upon me from Thomas, which I gladly accepted in the end. I was just like he tried to give me free product all the time. And I was like, no, like
Yeah,
let me do something for you. So here I am managing the team in New Zealand and podcasting and helping products and everything else, which is it's always
yeah,
fun when it's like your best friend and you're like just chill and you get to have
yeah.
some banter with Richard as well, who likes to talk a lot of shit.
Exactly. It's just like they are just like the best like supplement company to work with. Like I genuinely, yeah, I have no interest elsewhere whatsoever. Not just the products, but just like the general
People,
vibe and how I've worked with the athletes. It's just so superior to how everyone else does it.
yeah, and I think that's like whenever we sign people on, they get so surprised with our approach and how we do things, and I'm just like, we're chill. We
Oh,
we want you to be you. We signed you for you, not to push products, and you never see anyone pushing things. So it's just like,
it's all just very authentic,
yeah,
which is
yeah,
what what happens when you've got good products.
yeah, and it's exactly why I'm happy to be part of that team
Oh,
and all that. But I figured I really wanted to start off kind of your really early days because one of the things I see with I used to coach people a lot in bodybuilding. I grew up doing martial arts and all that stuff, so I had a lot of like competitive nature in my background. But what I've seen through when coaching people is a lot of people have never had like a sporting background or a any sort form of sport really struggle with bodybuilding, especially being coached. They're not really coachable. What was
mhm.
your early days like? What was your athletic background and all that?
Yeah, so, I've always been involved in not just, sports, but just extracurricular activities, um, throughout my childhood. So, me and my sister went to private schools,
Hmm.
and, we had to do sport every day. Like, it wasn't like state schools where you do PE, like, twice a week. It was every day.
Mandatory, yeah.
Yeah, so we always did loads, throughout school. It's like hockey, netball, tennis, lacrosse, swimming, athletics, like just everything. Um,
Did you find yourself more track and field? Was that kind of your go-to?
yeah, so field was definitely my kind of my main thing. But I was in the teams for netball and hockey, and other things as well. And then we also grew up with horses. So I did a lot of competing
Oh yeah.
through that as well. From like quite a young age into my teenage years. And again with like the extracurricular stuff. Um, we did a lot of music
Oh,
too.
yeah, yeah.
That's what I actually studied at college and uni. Um, so yeah, just from a very young age, it was heavily encouraged to practice things and get involved in things and commit to things, basically.
Do, do you find yourself now, especially now, kind of in your retirement phase, like you lean back to the things that you loved as a child and start picking it?
You know what? I literally was speaking to someone about this recently. That's really what, like, a main draw from kind of stepping away from bodybuilding was for me. And I think it's actually like a really kind of simple fix to, like, when you find yourself in phases in life, you might feel a bit low, or you might feel a bit lost or unsure about like you and what's kind of like the right for you.
Yeah,
I think if you just think back to, like, right, what would I do when I was younger? What would really kind of excite me? And how would I spend my kind of free time? And all those sorts of things are still things that would make me feel excited and I'd want to do now. It's just that, like, life happens and other stuff gets in the way, and you get influenced along the way, and you kind of forget that actually that's the core of, like, what makes you tick.
yeah. Did you? I will admit, I did taekwondo from the age of 5-ish to about 17, but I had a gap. And
Mhm.
in that gap was a rebellious gap where I got hurt, and then I was like, screw this, I've done this for so long. I'm going to go out and do all these things. When I was 15,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was like
yeah,
drinking and, whatever. And then it was, I think, I had like an aha moment. I was like, what the heck am I doing? And then I got back into it. But I wonder if
yeah.
you had a similar experience with being so young getting into.
Yeah, I think, well, for me, like, once I left school, music was where I kind of centered my attention. So I went to college to study music. I went to uni to study music. And with the kind of music scene comes a lot of gigs, going out, drinking, smoking. I didn't do any sport for about, I'm gonna say about 5 years. Like nothing, like, seriously nothing. Um, like, the most I would exercise would be, like, dancing on a night out. Like, I did not do a single thing
Yeah.
until I got into building, basically, yeah.
Was there something that made you stop wanting to exercise? Was there like a moment that you remember and you're just like, I'm just gonna get stuck into the music and that nightlife and my friends were all doing it, or it was just
I
habit?
don't think it wasn't a conscious decision by any means. I think it was just, like, finishing school, and then it wasn't, like, kind of a given that I would do it. And then because of the environment I was in and where my focus was, like, no. Although to be fair, throughout that period, I was still, into horse riding, so you could maybe count that in some way. But that was that was the only kind of activity I kind of did throughout that time. Um, yeah, I think, yeah,
Yeah. No, that
until
makes
I got
sense.
into
Yeah, I
yeah,
was I was similar. I did it very young, because I hurt my knee, and then I was like, oh, I need, I can't train, I can't do anything.
yeah,
And
the world's ended.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then I fell into the wrong crowd, and you get
Yeah,
influenced by older people. And you're like, oh, these older people
yeah,
are so cool. Let me
yeah.
let me
The
hang around with,
natural reasons.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, let me hang around them
yeah.
and all that. So then you transition into, obviously you finish uni and all of that, your music, and you transition into bodybuilding. What was that
Mhm.
for you? Like, what drew you towards bodybuilding?
Um, I think I initially went back to athletics,
Mm,
very, very briefly, and it was more just kind of like I wanna just kind of look a bit better. I've always just been very naturally slim,
yeah,
um, and I think as I kind of probably stopped growing in like my 20s, and like I just wasn't looking how I kind of maybe wanted to look anymore.
Yeah.
So it was that initial thought of, right, I need to do some exercise. And I just went to what I knew I would enjoy, which was athletics. Um, and then obviously I was just like super unfit because I'd been drinking and smoking for 5 years. So I joined a gym, and then the lady who was at the gym gave me like a gym induction, showed me how to use the watts or whatever. And I don't, you know what? I don't really know what kind of happened. I just really liked it. Um, and I'd recently just moved out of home, so I had my own place.
Yeah.
And it was literally like a 2-minute drive to the gym. Um, so it just I was single, just like nothing to do. Yeah, I was just like, why not? Like I was working like an 8 to 5, and so I'd just kind of go after work. And then I really quickly saw physical changes. I think because I was slim and I started to train having never obviously done anything like that before, I responded really quickly, in that initial kind of 6 months, and just got like totally like hooked on it.
Yeah.
Um, and then it all just kind of snowballed from
It,
there really.
it is addicting because I remember like when I stopped martial arts, I stopped because I was like, man, I'm skinny. Like I can look after myself, and I was like 60 something kilos, and I was like,
Mhm,
yeah, I don't like this. Like I'm 17, 18, getting into adulthood, and I'm like, I'm really small. And then I started weight training exactly the same as you. It was like, remember my dad taking me to the gym, and then I was just hooked. So I was like, oh, this is
mhm,
the best thing ever. Um,
mhm.
so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you started in the PCA, and automatically started with figure. Is that correct?
Yeah, so my first season in 2016, I did, that was before PCA was, like, properly a thing. So I did, IBFA was my first
Okay. Yeah.
show, did NABBA, um, and then so I just did those 2 shows in 2016, and then I took 2.5 years off, and then I did PCA and NABBA in 2019.
hmm And
Yeah, I did figure from the start. I was
and
just
that
tiny.
yeah, that's very I find that very rare for people who like really first get into bodybuilding to take that period off of like I need time to grow and fit the category that I want to work in. Did you have a coach at that time, or were you like, did you understand why you needed to take that time off, or was it just a conscious decision from yourself?
No, I think I'm trying to think how it all worked out. Like, so, 'cause some of the times I've had off, some of the big off seasons I've had, have 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 been partly choice, and then partly from life situations as well. Um, so that first season, I got some good feedback about my shape. It's just like you just need much more muscle. So I was like, right, I'm just gonna come back. Someone said to me, just come back and shock people, and I was like, okay, yeah, sweet, I'll do that. Um, so that was kind of like my plan. I do remember starting a prep at the start of 2018, and for whatever reason, I decided to not continue, so I ended up having another year out. And then it was when I dieted down in 2019, I was like, "Holy shit, I look different, like, I look really different." But those kind of couple of years, no, I mean, it was very early days in terms of, like, online coaching.
Yeah, there's not
It
really
was a thing.
that not
It wasn't like it is now. Like, it wasn't
well,
like it
yeah,
is now.
everyone's a coach these days.
Yeah, like, there wasn't the information out there that I was, throughout that whole period, so 2016 to 2019, I was living in a relationship with a bodybuilder. So that was obviously a big influence. He's been in the industry longer than me. So I kind of had him to, bounce ideas off or whatever. Like, he was very old school. Um but then when I went to start a prep, I did get a coach for that 2019
Okay,
prep. Yeah.
because I will get into the coaching things first. I believe your first coach was Dan. Is that correct?
So that was my 2019. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did have someone prep me for the first, um, shows I did, but it It was like just some old gadget at the gym who like, yeah, I mean, it was very old school.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't really
What
cool, couldn't really get coaching.
what was that experience? I remember this is why I don't eat fish. And I told Zach, I was like, I hate fish. I'm not eating it. But I remember my first coach was like 16 weeks you're eating fish and
This
vegetables.
is what it was like. I honestly, and nothing against sweet potato, because I love a sweet potato fry, don't get me wrong, I love a sweet potato fry. I have not had sweet potato in my, like, day-to-day meals since 2016 because I ate so much cold sweet potato, like, in Tupperware out my car, that prep. It just, like, makes my stomach turn. Yeah, so it was just really old school, like, I saw him once a week in person at the gym. So yeah, I did have a kind of coach then. And then yeah, Dan, I went to Dan at the start of 2019, January that year, and then we started doing shows throughout that
Mm,
early season.
that's good. I because I've seen your posts and everything through online, and you don't do the YouTube thing, which I like that you don't do because not
Oh, yeah.
everyone is into it, and I think the main thing I really like about you is you're just you, and it's just authentic, and you're just not really trying to be anyone else. Um,
There isn't many people like me in the industry, and I think that like that's one thing I've really kind of realized, especially this year, like going to the Olympia and being at that kind of like higher level. It was like, wow, like, I felt like the only one who, like, wasn't totally consumed by bodybuilding, like, completely and utterly, like, consumed by it.
did you feel like you
That was
could live in the moment more and like enjoy what was happening around and the people you were with at the Olympia?
do you know what? You know what? I'm just gonna be completely
Yeah,
honest.
be honest. Yeah.
Because it's not like I think the Olympia really made me realize that this just isn't for me. I think it was, like, just completely not me. The whole experience of being in a massive city like Vegas, it's not for me, like,
Yeah.
it's just not my idea of fun at all. And I've always struggled with getting on stage and performing, like, that's never been something I found particularly comfortable. Um, and I think I just felt like I was just around a lot of people who didn't have the same values as me and
Makes
like
sense.
anymore, like in times past, there's been periods in my life where I have been much more bodybuilding, like really, really kind of tunnel vision on that. Um, and I think as I've kind of grown up, is how I see it, you kind of realize that, there is a lot more to life, especially when you've gone through a big injury. And from speaking to other people that have gone through big injuries, that's always a really eye-opening
Mm,
experience with bodybuilding because you do realize that at any given time, it can actually be taken away from you. Who are you going to be? Who are you going to be? And what are you going to do if you don't have that?
exactly. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think it just made me realize like, it was in it, and I see it as a positive thing because I have decided to retire this year, and it kind of was just like, I'm making the right decision here.
Did you feel a weight
Does
off your
that make
shoulders?
Yeah, I was just like, I remember being so anxious that week, and you can ask Rick what I was like. So anxious that week, and I just thought, this obviously isn't for me. If it's causing me this much anxiety and it's making me feel that way, like this is meant to be fun. Like, it's meant to be like, and yeah, I'm gonna be a bit nervous because obviously,
It's huge.
that's
Yeah.
normal,
Yeah.
huge show. But how I felt leading up to it was like, yeah, this should be fun.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be making me
When
feel this way.
I think when you lose that, I went through a bit of that this year, and
Mhm.
it was more around the training side because I prepped myself and I was like, I'll get someone to look after my training, and he was great, but then it was so overcomplicated that I lost the fun of
Oh,
training,
no,
and then I
no,
was like,
that's not fair.
and I was,
That's why me and Zach was such a good
oh
match
yeah,
because, like, it's like I had, like, eight consult calls with different coaches when I was choosing who to go with that year. Um, and we're just completely on the same page. It's like that really nice balance between old school, but not like stupid. Like he's got he doesn't overanalyze and overcomplicate like a lot of the new school guys
Yeah,
do.
he
Not
puts it in there,
stupid, like,
but he's not really. It's because I started working with him about 5 weeks ago after my show. I was like, you know what?
oh,
Li-
like if there's something you don't wanna track, like, he doesn't mind.
Nah,
Like, I got to a point in my prep where he knows that, like, tracking everything stresses me out. So, like, he would just be like, "Right, all I need to know is your weight and your pictures, and then you just tell me if there's something else I need to know about." I'm like, "Cool."
he's very chill.
Because, like, analyzing everything stresses me out. Like a training plan that was really complicated, that would stress me out.
Yeah,
It's just not fun.
that's what I said to him was like he sent me through the training plan and I was like, I feel like I'm a teenager again. And
Yeah,
that's
it's fun.
that's what was fun. And that's like and it's nothing complicated. There's nothing in there that you go, oh geez, like this is, you hear about people talking about the eccentric part of a movement and all this shit, and I'm like, I don't really care. I just want to train. Like, I don't.
Yeah, there's no point in looking at that stuff if it's gonna take the enjoyment out of it,
And then
because then you're not
if you leave the gym and you go, well, it wasn't really a good workout. Like that was the
exactly.
that was the moment for me. Was like when I was leaving the
Yeah,
gym and feeling like I felt like I could train harder and do more, and that wasn't fun.
nothing worse. Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's good. So we'll get into your competitive career, because obviously I know you've competed for 9 years. Now you're retired. Um,
Mhm,
talk me through, your run to turning pro, because I know you did the PCA shows, then you were like, okay, let me do IFBB, get a run at a pro card. How was that
mhm.
experience for you?
So it was Dan Wellburn that planted that seed in my head. In 2019, he was like, um he kind of gave me that idea. You know what he actually said to me? I said this on another podcast, but it's still mental. He said to me the first time I went to see him in person, 2019, he had a look at me, run through my poses, and we were chatting afterwards, and he was like, "You're gonna be at the Olympia by 2025." The exact year,
That's
and
crazy.
that is just mental. And I said to him this year, I was like, "Do you remember saying this?" He was like, "No, but I know I've got a good eye, Soph." I was like, "Yeah."
That is
He
that
was
that's
like,
that's cool. Yeah,
yeah, he planted that seed in my head, and then, I was gonna continue competing that 2019 year into the back end of the year and do PCA British, and I do wish I had done PCA British because I think I could have got it that year,
yeah,
but I wasn't in the headspace to prep all year then. I was going through some, like, life changes, so I just went into an off season again. And then obviously it was lockdown, so 2020 was out of the question. Um, so then it rolled round onto 2021 basically. So I'd known for a couple of years at that point that that was my next goal. So I started looking at qualifiers and stuff at the start of 2021, which is when me and Christian were together. So he prepped me
okay, yeah,
um, that season. And that worked really well. It worked, like, really well, actually. So, yeah, started prep at the start of that year, and then I did the qualifier in June, I think, and then the pro qualifier in the end of July. I think it was in July, yeah,
crazy,
yeah.
crazy. Um,
I knew what I wanted. I was like, "Well, that's what I was doing that year." It was like, "I'm going to win the overall qualifier, and I'm gonna win my pro card," and that's what's happening. 'Cause I've waited 2 years now. I've wanted this for 2 years, and in hindsight, I'm glad because I would obviously, I looked a lot better than I would have done in 2019. Um, obviously the gyms were shut for a while, so I maybe hadn't have made as much progress as I could have done, but that was my goal that year was like, I'm just showing up and I'm getting it 'cause I'm
yeah,
sick of waiting. I'm sick of following around,
but
basically.
do you sometimes sit back and go because those are your first IFBB shows, and obviously PCA is great, and I think they're doing some really cool things, and it
Oh, great. The
it,
chef's great, yeah.
it also excites me when because we've always had NABBA, but NABBA's kind of done their own thing, but not really well.
They're just not they just died during COVID because they didn't keep up with the times and
E-
social media.
Exactly, and then you've got PCA that is. and especially in the UK side, it's very competitive towards the IFBB. So do you sometimes sit there and go, "Sheesh, my first like year of competing in the IFBB, I turned pro, and that was my
Kind of. I think for me, it was like I I've had that idea in my head for 2 years, and I got pissed off that I couldn't do it in 2020.
yeah,
Um, and you know, when you've kind of been thinking about something for so long that when it becomes a reality, the reality of it doesn't hit you, because that's exactly how I feel about the Olympia as well. It's because I was so fixated for 2 years on qualifying and doing it that I thought about it so much that now I've achieved it, it hasn't registered yet. Does
that,
that make sense?
yeah, that makes 100% sense. It's like,
Like, in my thoughts, like, because it's been a normal, everyday occurring thought for so long, the kind of the reality of, you know, the scale of it, I suppose, becomes kind of dampened over time,
yeah,
and I think that it'll take me, you know, I've
a good,
realised, you know, these few months, it'll take me maybe a couple of years of being away from it to actually be, like,
I did that.
proud of myself, because
Yeah,
yeah, because it does just become very normalised in your own head when, you know, I'm checking in with Zach every week for 2 years, talking about the Olympia, qualifying for the Olympia. It just becomes an everyday term,
yeah.
and you kind of lose that. And I think it was probably quite similar in terms of, that you know, turning pro, in 2021 is like, I just normalised that thought process in my head, um, that that was the reality that I wanted.
It's it's a
And
good
yeah.
mindset to have though, because I think when people, you always hear about people saying, "Oh, I don't, I just want to beat myself, and I'm not here to win," and all that stuff. Which I always say it's kind of a load of crap. Like you're competing, and
Oh.
like you got
Like, I honestly, like, and this is the thing, like, although I have very low I've always had very struggled a lot with confidence with my own physique, that I still never would have done this if I wasn't competitive, because I I've never had an interest in taking part to just be a number, apart from the Olympia, obviously.
that. Yeah,
Um,
that's a
its
that's
own league.
a name show. It's like it's who you
Yeah.
are. It's
And
essentially.
it's also just like it's also just it's the best of the best, like, just being there's cool. Like, whereas, like, every other show, it's like, "No, I've gotta be the best."
And that's what always astounds me is like when you because social media is crazy these days, and I'm very low key on social media now. I don't really. I kind of deleted my main page, and now I've just got my private one.
Yeah.
But you see people, let's say like Nick Walker, for example, people giving him crap and going, "Oh, he came sixth," and I'm like, "He's sixth in the world." Like that's, it's insane. It's like you guys are
Yeah,
going,
honestly, nothing pisses me off more than, like, the amount of people that, like, ask me since I've got back from America that aren't bodybuilders or know nothing about, you know, the Olympia or like anything, and they'll be like, "Oh, how'd you get on? Which place did you win?" And I'm just like, "I'm gonna smack you in a minute."
they don't get it.
Shut
They honestly don't get it. But I think
shut
it's,
up. Like, I went to the Olympia, like, just fucking let me live.
but I also think it goes back to that competitive background of yourself and like myself. When you've done stuff like when I got my second dan in Taekwondo, that was really hard. Like that, I say like martial arts was much harder than bodybuilding. Bodybuilding to me was, it's just ticking boxes every day. But when I achieved that, and then people going, "Oh, like, what's the next goal?" And I'm like, "No, this was the goal. Like that was the dream for me as a kid, and now I've done it. I'm like, I'm done. Like uh,
That's the thing, and, like, even though obviously, you know, the last couple of years, me and Zach have been talking about the Olympia, it's important to remember that that would have never even crossed my mind a few years ago, like, not even in my reality. You know, you know, when I went for my pro card, for example, in 2021, in fact, I remember, this is really funny, and I don't know if she'll listen to this, and I'm sorry if she does, but, Jazz,
yeah,
who owns Compact, She gave me a present after I turned pro, and it was a mug. It was a mug from Compact, and it said Olympia bound, and I was like, "How fucking ridiculous!" When I moved house, I chucked it in the bin because I thought it was that ridiculous. Because I was just like, "What a fucking stupid idea that is."
But also, like, I think that's you being real, right? Because like people don't understand it, especially in the female side, in the women's
There's levels and shit.
there is
Yeah.
so many competitors. Like I look at the bikini girls. We've got a girl in New Zealand,
Oh God.
Lily, who
I mean, a world that I'm not in and I don't understand. But yeah, the numbers in them classes is fucking outrageous.
it's
I
insane.
don't get it.
We've got a girl that we signed on about a couple months ago now, and she's a natural girl, and she just placed second at the Hawaii Pro, and she's 22.
Mhm,
And I said to her, I was like, "You're 22, you know, you're natural, and you've bet Olympians, and like you're
mhm.
right there." And then she's like, "Oh, you know, but these girls are so good and all this stuff." And I'm like, "Lily, you're 22. Like, just live in the moment. Like you
Gym when I was 22.
exactly
Like,
exactly." So it's like
yeah,
you know, we're coaching and guiding her on that side, but it's always like I feel for all of the girls because it's a lot harder, in my opinion, for a girl to make it that far, especially turn pro and all that. When you and even in New Zealand, there's like 50 plus girls competing in bikini, and I'm like, how the heck do you judge that? Like,
no, I don't get it. I
I
don't
don't.
get it. I
It,
do not
it's
get
insane.
it.
It's insane. Um,
Yeah.
let's get into the coaching side. And I'm very interested in your relationship with Zach and how that came to fruition because you said you had consultations with 9 coaches, which I also like as well as when you try and find people that click with you. What
Mhm.
stemmed from that? Because you've had a few coaches. Like, what made you kind of go, okay, I'm going to leave this person and look for someone else that kind of suits me?
Yeah, so my pro, I won't go into this too much because there was a bit of drama. He won't mind me saying anyway. But my pro debut prep was ended in a bit of a shit show.
Yeah.
So I ended up peaking myself for my second pro show.
Okay.
So that was an experience, but I loved it, to be fair. And I got third at that pro show. And I came back to UK and then I did my own thing for a few weeks. And I was like, right, I need to find someone who's actually I'm going to want to stick with and who's going to be invested in me because I don't like changing coaches. I never, when I didn't want to have to change coaches. I didn't have I felt at the time like I didn't have a choice. Um, so I was like, it's a big decision, so I kind of asked around, for people's recommendations. Who do you think I would, sue and who would work well with me? And then, yeah, just hopped on a few calls and there was 3 or 4 that I felt like, I got on really well with and was on a similar kind of vibe with. I think what really helped was Zach being really local to me as well. That was definitely big draw, alongside the fact that, I felt like we were on the same page. It was like, "Right, we can train together every single week." Like, that's unheard of,
Yeah.
uh, in coaching these days, really. So he was like, "We'll hit back once a week together," which is the area that I really needed to bring up. So yeah, I was like, "Right, this is gonna be sick." He's gonna keep me focused because I am a bit, I've always been a little bit I've definitely not in off season, I don't always kind of what's the word? I don't wanna make myself sound like a slack bitch.
say, say it how it is.
I'm not one of those bodybuilders who's, like, on it every day of the week. Like, I like a lot of flexibility with food. I would say the food's the main thing. And Zach was on the kinda same page with me as that. Like, I didn't wanna go with someone who expected me to, just be like bam, 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 bam all the time. But I knew that if I saw him every week, I wouldn't be off doing stupid shit. He'd keep me kind of And that's what really worked, is that I knew I'd have to see Zach in person every week. I'd train with him. I'd have to get my kit off and pose in front of him in person. Like, there's no hiding in off season when
No,
you're in person check-ins. So I thought he'll keep me focused and focused on the goal we've got, because it's going to be, a good 18 months until I'm dieting again. So I need to keep that drive going, and and Zach gets so excited about his clients and so invested in them. He's far more excited than I was.
he sent
So
me he sent me some feedback the other day, and he's like, "I'm so surprised at how little food you need." And I was like, one thing I like with him is like, he'll get back to you, and he gets back to you really timely. But his feedback and coaching feedback, which I haven't seen from coaches, is really actually personalized to you. Like it actually is, and that was
yeah,
something so different to me, because I'm so used to a coach going, "Oh, we're going to go 50 more grams of carbs on these days. Keep going." And then that's,
just showed you. Yeah, no, he is, and the thing is as well, he's very good at, not just, yeah, kind of what you're saying there. I think if you look at how he speaks to some of his other clients compared to how he speaks to me, it would be very different. Like, I think Zach's known for being quite brutal and not giving compliments out. And that shocked me, because he's always been very complimentary with me, but that's because he knows I genuinely need it. Like, he knows that I do need that kind of like that positivity and encouragement about my physique, because all I'll do every time I check in is chat shit about how I look and not being good enough. So, like,
so you're
he's
your own worst critic. Of-
oh my God, I'm horrendous. I'm so bad. Like, in prep, awful. I'm like psychotic with it. Like, I genuinely, like, I feel sorry for what Zach had to put up with this. But yeah, I think like he depending on the person, he knows, he learned how to deal with me when my head was falling off and I thought I was fat and I didn't want to do it anymore. And,
Mm,
I fucked my diet up a number of times over the course of the last 12 months. And he knew the best way psychologically
get to
and
you.
emotionally to make sure that, we're back on track and I'm back focused and I'm not stressing about things. And
Yeah,
well, as much as I was, yeah.
yeah. That did you also have a sense of wanting to make him proud as well at the same time of as yourself during this
Yeah.
process?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Massively. And I'll hold my hands up and admit that I found this second prep into the Olympia was really, really hard. I felt like I'd he almost kind of dragged me through it, kicking and screaming the last bit. And I happily like admitted, that run up, I was doing it for Zach and I was doing it for those close to me, because I really just I was
Yeah.
mentally kind
Checked
of
out.
firing out. Yeah,
What? When did you qualify this year? Was it this year that you qualified? Yeah,
April. Oh,
yeah.
it's a
That's
lot.
what I was going to ask you. And I think what I find with people, especially if you qualify and you actually are stage ready and nail it, do you find that because there is a gap, but it's not such a huge gap that you can have like a bit of a break and a period off, that's what makes it really hard?
Yeah, I think I just didn't. I don't know why we decided to do early shows. I can't remember why, but yeah, I had 10 weeks basically. So we got back from America from that qualifier, and we kind of looked at the timeline for the year, and we were like, right, we'll start prep at 16 weeks out from the Olympia. So I had 10 weeks
It's not
gap.
it's not a long time. No.
No, and because I knew what I'd be like, and I said to Zach, I was like, "Look, if you need me to be fully in this Olympia prep 16 weeks out, you need to just let me go away for a bit." So I didn't check in. Like, he knows I'm not gonna get fat, and he knew I was training, he knew I was eating enough. That's never a problem. But, I was just like, I need to just have a break from the constant check-ins, the constant weighing. I didn't even weigh myself for most of that time either. I just trained, I did all the things that, you know, I wanted to get done because I knew I was gonna spend the rest of the year on prep. I'd already been prepping since November last year,
Yeah,
so
it's a long
just
time.
need I was like, yeah, and I've never ever done 2 preps back to back before, so I was like, "Right, I need to just chill out for a bit, get the food bits out my system, and then I can be," and then by the time it came around to 16 weeks, I was like, "Right, let's fucking go."
Yeah,
Like, I'm buzzing now, like, "Let's do this," and then it was only the last kind of 6 weeks where I was like, "Oh, shit." Yeah,
yeah,
like, I was just, like, so lean for so long over the span of, like, a 12-month period. It's just fucking miserable.
yeah. I
It's not fun.
I'll share something quite personal this year. My father got is sick. He got diagnosed with cancer like 5 weeks out from my show. And
God.
I was like, oh geez. And then I was speaking to him, and I was like, oh look, I'm going to stop. And then he's like, the fuck you are. And he basically said to me, no, you're going to keep going because I want to watch you. Um, so I was like, okay, cool. And then I was looking at the shows, and I was like, you know what? There's one 3 weeks earlier. I don't think I can do 5 weeks. I'm just going to do that. So I just buckled down and nailed that one, and I was like, that's it. I'm done.
Yeah, get it done. No, like, yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I think, like, say, it's sometimes just that thought of how far away it is that can be like,
It drags.
I mean, yeah, like this year's just been absolutely mental. Like, I think I probably need to sit down and process it all at some point. But, like, my show in April, yeah, it was the start of April, wasn't it? So when I started prep for that in November last year, in I was 8 weeks out from my qualifier, and I basically fled from an abusive relationship back into my parents' house. And I was going through, like, police reports. I've not actually spoke about this before on any platform, but was going through, like, police reports and everything. Literally 8 weeks out. I didn't miss a beat. I didn't miss a meal. I didn't miss a cardio session. Like, I was going through the most, like, intense, like, psychological, like,
Horrific
trauma ever,
moments. Yeah.
and I didn't miss a beat, and then there was times where I just thought, "This is too much. I can't be prepping and going through all of this." And my girl mates were just like, "So just think, like, once you get there, you get to America, you do the show, like, and you're gonna feel like the best person ever."
Yeah.
So I was like, "You're right. I'm just gonna keep going." And then when obviously I went and I qualified for the Olympia, oh my God, I was an absolute emotional wreck.
Did you?
Because it was, like, just the craziest prep ever. It was crazy.
That's insane to say as well. Like I found with myself was that because I was so busy at work, so busy with Strom, so busy with prep, and
Being
I
busy is
blocked everything out. Like I just didn't think.
this is the thing, being busy, yeah. You get to that point, especially, like, when you're working and you're prepping, you've got all these things to do during the day to fit in, and it's like you almost just don't have time to, like, process, other kind of big things that go on, and whenever I start a prep, I always like what I call, like, my all my ducks to be in a row. So I'm like, "Right, financing, you know, personal life, you just want your shit together because you wanna be able to just keep prep as
Focus.
smooth as
Yeah,
possible." But every time I do a prep,
there's
something
something.
dramatic happens, but you just but it's something about prep that makes you just get on with it. Like,
Yeah,
it's like this the ultimate distraction tool.
I
You just
yeah. I think
you just keep going.
I think from my opinion, I feel like if you pulled out, you'd be in a worse state than if you carried through.
Absolutely. And that's literally what kept me going in that early prep this year. My girl mates were just like, "So just think, right, if you don't channel this into prep,
You'll
you're going to
self-destruct.
be 10 times worse off because you're just gonna be sitting around thinking about things, and then a month, 2, 3 down the line, even more, you're gonna be so pissed off at yourself for not doing this qualifier." Um So yeah, like that was the real big win for me this year. Obviously, doing the Olympia was cool, but the prep and the qualifying for the Olympia was like
The personal,
definitely more of a highlight.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Just like that day, like, I just think about that day. It was just me and Zach, and like it was just fucking great. It was just
yeah.
such a great day.
He does some. I know we talk about him a lot, but he does some cool stuff. Like even the stuff he's doing with James at the moment, and everyone kind of wrote James off, and I'm like, guys, you don't understand how good this guy is. Like when he's got the right people around him. And you see
Hmm.
him in Japan, and like he was voice noting me the other day, and he's like, "Oh bloody hell, bro! I hope the flight has Wi-Fi so I can do check-ins and all this shit." And I'm just like, "Chill out, man! Like I'm chill. Just do your thing."
Honestly, it was so funny when we were in America in April. So we shared an Airbnb, and he literally come back from China like not even a day before we flew to America. So he'd gone from like the opposite time zone, then one night in the UK, and then and then to America. Bearing in mind our flight was cancelled, so that was a shit show journey as well. So his body clock was just like absolutely
Fucked.
like
Yeah,
just
yeah,
fried. Um, and that week, honestly, he would either be doing check-ins in the kitchen, and if he wasn't doing check-ins, I would just hear snoring on the sofa. He had 2 modes.
yeah.
Sleep
Standard. Yeah,
or work.
yeah,
Yeah, it was so funny.
but
But no, he goes and like, and I've been around some really, really good coaches. Like Christian is another one like Zach, like where they just pour everything into it. And Zach is just, yeah, he's just so heavily invested and genuinely loves what he does.
yeah. And I think also like the one thing I'll say is I've not seen coaches that actually fly overseas with the athletes like he does. Like
Oh my God.
all the time. Like he told me he's going to wherever Yannick is from, like Norway, just to be with James to check him in. And obviously he did that stuff, and I'm just like, coaches don't do that. Like they
No,
they don't do that
he
stuff.
loves it.
Yeah,
No,
but he
he
loves
loves
it.
it, and
Yeah.
it's yeah, he's great. He really is. There really wasn't anyone better for the job. It worked absolutely perfectly.
Well, I think that's a good way to summarize your end of your competitive career is that you did it
Mhm,
with the best coach you could and the people around you.
absolutely. Yeah.
Um, what is retirement looking like for you now?
Oh, I mean, it's early days. I do feel a little bit that there's lots of changes going on. I'm moving house in a few months. That's kind of like my main focus at the moment. Which is a good distraction to have. I think I needed something to hyperfixate on.
Yeah,
Um I'd thought a long time about, what my training was gonna look like and what my food was gonna look like when I retired, and it never works out how you think it's gonna, and I've just kind of got to the point now where I'm just like, "I'll just see what happens." Like, my plan was to stop training upper body and do legs and downsize my upper. That hasn't worked because I can't stop training upper body. So, but I know at some point it'll get to a point where I'm like, right, because I'm just going to keep growing,
yeah,
and I don't want to, and eventually I'll get to the point where I'm like, right, I'm going to have to do something about this. Um, but at the moment, I'm just kind of going with what feels good,
that's good.
and what I want to do.
Yeah,
Same with food as well, and I think it's going to take a lot of time to really find what works best for me because I have been doing it for so long. And not just that, but the last 12 months in particular have been very intense emotionally.
yeah,
Um, so there's a lot that I really haven't kind of actually processed. So I think there's a lot to kind of let settle, I think.
yeah.
Uh, and I think it'll all just level itself out eventually,
I think it's
but
good.
it just feels like early days right now.
Yeah, I think it's good though that because a lot of like you can use like Ian Valier for example, was he retired and then got into track and field immediately, and then that didn't really work out. I talked to him at the Olympia, and he's like back into bodybuilding training because he's like, I just couldn't. I, and I,
This is the thing, and it's like that itch. Someone says to me, "Oh, do you keep getting the itch?" I'm like, I don't think I ever won't. Like because it's it doesn't mean I'm gonna act on it,
No.
but, like, when Zach tagged me in that post the other day, that transformation one, I just had this sudden, "Oh, fuck it, let's go again." And then I'm like, "No, because it's not what I want. I don't wanna do the work that's involved, and it didn't make me happy anymore."
Yeah.
And it's, like, just that fleeting thing, and I don't think as a bodybuilder that, when you've done it for that long and to a certain level, I don't think that will ever go
No.
away.
Yeah.
Um, it's just rationalizing it and being like, "Actually, that's not what I want from life anymore."
Yeah.
Um,
But maybe
I
you
think it's
can.
'cause I feel like I haven't hit, and this is why I know Zach thinks this as well, he feels like I haven't maxed out, and
But you
I
haven't.
can
You,
no,
no. And
I
that's
know,
it.
and it's
And that's
like,
the
and that's
issue.
why
Is
it's like
I,
I just want to be better all the time, but it's like, oh.
I think the issue you'll always face as well, because of your competitive nature, is you also see people, because you see it in social media. You see people competing, and you'll be like,
This is
I
it.
can beat
And
that person.
I'm getting strict with that now. I'm doing a lot of muting, a lot of unfollowing, because the more you're constantly surrounded by that, it's hard to pull yourself away from that environment and that bubble. Like, of course, I'm gonna get the itch all the time. Of course, I'm gonna be, picking myself apart and questioning my decision when I'm constantly consuming content of that nature.
Yeah,
And once I realized that, I was like, "Hang on, I don't need to follow these people."
because
I
you don't
don't,
even know
you
them.
know yeah, that's what I mean. Obviously, like, I've got my friends in the industry who I want to follow, but apart from that, I don't need to constantly surround myself with this bodybuilding bubble now. I just don't,
It's
I really don't.
it's a good way to like disassociate yourself, and it's the only
Mm,
way it's going to work.
yeah,
But
fully.
yeah, I think to kind of wrap us up, and we talked a bit about this offline. Um, I've always felt there's a lot of voices for male bodybuilders, men's physique, classic physique. There's a lot, especially in the podcast platforming and all that stuff. Like, what advice would you give to female competitors, regardless of the class, of how they should approach bodybuilding, um, and really, if they want to take it far and get to the point that you got to, what are the pieces of advice you would give them?
I think I still will stand by the fact that what's it? I said this the other week, and it was, you can give a lot to bodybuilding without giving it everything. And I'll stand by that, and I'll never be one of these bodybuilders, which I do feel like most people are like now, a lot in the industry, where, there's just this constant narrative of having to be, perfect 365 days a year. Even in your off season, if you want to make progress, you got to do this, you've got to make that. Go and look on my profile. I mean, it's proof that you don't have to do that. And obviously, people are gonna turn around and be like, "Oh, genetics, okay, whatever." But, like, genetic bodybuilding is a sport of genetics anyway.
Yeah, every sport
And
is
and that's
literally.
yeah, this this is the thing, and that's one thing actually that's huge, is that be realistic about your health as a female, and be very realistic about your genetics, your genetic potential, and what you're willing to risk from a health and femininity perspective, alongside what you're willing to sacrifice from a lifestyle perspective,
Yeah,
and balance that out. Like, what you don't want to do is completely disregard all other areas of your life, fuck up your health and your femininity for something that you really, one, not good at, or two, not making money from. And there's a lot of young people coming into the industry now who don't tick either of those two boxes, in my view, but they're still literally putting everything
everything.
into bodybuilding.
Yeah, yeah. It's great.
It's just it worries me.
I,
It
I've seen
genuinely.
I've seen some crazy things. Like, I've heard people say, "I sold my car to do a prep," and I'm like, "What the heck are you doing?" Like, like that's insane. Like, and for me, it was like, let me set my career up get in a very good financial piece so that I can do bodybuilding, but it's still a hobby
Yeah.
for me. It's just a hobby. Like I love training. Like that's the main thing. I love
Mhm.
training. But one thing,
That's how it is for me as well, like, and that's what it should come down to, and, you know, I always say to people, I competed because I love training, not the other way around, and too many people now, they want to compete, so they train. So, no. Like, someone said to me the other day, "Oh, I bet it's really hard to, now you've got no direction, like, to feel like you wanna go to the gym," and I'm like,
no,
"But I love training."
you've always done
Like,
it, mate.
about it was never about I didn't like getting on stage, you know? I it's really out of my comfort zone. I like winning, but I don't like being the center of attention, like, at all. So it was never about the show or competing, it was like, no, I just love training. Like, I'd go insane if I didn't train. I genuinely, I need that outlet. So yeah, I think like you said, the that focus, you love, you have to have a big love for training.
Yeah,
You really do. You
yeah.
really do.
There's. I'm not going to mention the name because this guy's from the UK, and, and you will know who he is. So I don't want him
Well,
to hear this.
I'll try not to react. I won't react.
But there was something where one of my best friends, she went to the UK for a bit, and she was saying she went out for a dinner with him, and it was a sushi meal, and it was like an off-plan meal, and then afterwards he was like, "Oh, we need to do 6,000 steps to make up for the extra calories we ate," and I was just like, "That is not bodybuilding. Like, that is that is the most
What's
insane
happened?
mindset to have. Is like you're so consumed by like steps and things like because Zach says to me like, I want you to have an off meal. He won't tell me what to have. He'll just say
I
replace
had that one. I had untracked off-pan meals on my Olympia prep.
exactly, and but he won't say
I've also never, ever owned a step tracker. I did 10 years in the industry
yeah.
without tracking a step.
There you go.
It's my claim to fame. And I've got a few of these. Never worn a step tracker, never owned a tripod, never, this is a big one, never tried a can of Monster, and it gets better, I've never had a stimulant pre-workout.
Never.
Never. No,
That's insane.
no.
That's insane.
Yeah, so there you go. Some fun facts.
Yeah, but it's. I think that's what, and that's also why I wanted to bring you on. Is that's what, especially the girls, they need to hear is like you can enjoy your life, like you can go out and do stuff. Like I prepped. I went to the movies like every other week because I wanted to go to watch a movie and I wanted to take my family out and do shit. And I was like,
I went to similar actually, this prep, I did, yeah.
and it was so good for me.
Um,
Like your mindset, you're just like, oh, I'm just chilling.
yeah, and because you can just, again, it's just getting out of that, like you say, out your head, out that bubble, and going and watching a film and just focusing on something else. Um, yeah, I think, you know, there's it's a really different, a different thing for women because when you know, you're brought up as a girl, there's always that in kind of societal pressure about being skinny and slim and whatnot, and that's why I think, you know, girls generally speak, and I'm not saying guys don't, but girls do find the off season and the post show, you know,
The
a
harder.
lot more difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you know, I think of like people I know that have struggled with eating disorders. I can maybe think of one guy. It's largely in this industry a female thing. Um, you know, I think it's much more challenging for women. I do think that being a taller, heavier female has meant that, like, I've never really had a negative relationship with the scale, which I know is something that a lot of girls in the industry do struggle with.
Mm.
It's like scale weight. And I genuinely, I've thought about this before 'cause I thought, why have I never really had much of a, you know, a funny thing about that? And I think it's just because I've always been heavier because I'm tall.
Mm.
You know, that's something I didn't kind of struggle with. But the longer you spend in growing phases, the more normal this body becomes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
easy
Because
easy that transition is. If you go year after year, then you're gonna be so used to being leaner, then anything above that's gonna be like, "What, Nick?" And this is why you see these girls going year after year after year, season after season, because they just can't let go. And they've just done it for so long that now, you know, a normal body fat level to them feels ginormous.
And it's so funny because this girl that we were just talking about, she wants to meet you at some point, by the way. And I said, "Oh, I'll set up a call and you can meet her." But she was talking to me because we train as well. We train together, and I say to her like, you know, you don't have to train like a bikini girl all the time. You can just train. Like, let's go do back.
Which
So
I
we smashed back for like an hour and a half, and she was like, I feel so good. And you know, she was talking to me. She's like, "Oh, you know, I'm 7 kilos up on stage weight, and it's like 6 weeks post show." And I said to her, "You put on 4 kilos in your first week. So then, you know, you look at the last 5 weeks, you've only put 3 kilos on. Don't worry about it. Who cares? Like, just,
it balanced out.
yeah, it's all." And now she's like, "Oh, yeah, actually, I feel good, and this is how I want to look, and all these things." But it's quite,
You just it's always hard, and, like, I'm not gonna sit here and say, like, "Oh, I don't find it hard." Of course I do, like, even this prep, like, coming out of this prep, especially because I didn't have, you know, that focus of, right, off season,
yeah,
um you know, weight gain is hard, especially because, I have done a back-to-back year, which I've not done before, so I have got used to being leaner for a longer amount of time than I would typically be, and yeah, it's hard. It is really, really hard, and I think it's just really important to, you know, spend time in those phases and getting comfortable with it and realizing, you know, just 'cause you're fatter doesn't mean you're fat.
no, and it's
Like,
needed.
as women, like, we need yeah, as women, like, we're literally designed to
Yeah,
have babies and carry fat.
because
Um,
I think that
it's gonna look different for everyone as well.
And I think that was the last kind of point on the female side was like the amount of girls, and when I used to prep girls and coach them, and they'd come to me and they go, "I haven't had a period in 2 years," and I'm like, "Well, we're fixing that." And it's so normal. That is so normal in New Zealand. It is. I would say like 90% of them will say, "I haven't had a period in a year or 8 months," and things like that. And you know what worries me and concerns me a lot is that they justify that, or their coach justifies that as being normal. It's part of being a competitor. And I'm like, no, it's not normal. Because
It's
it's like
not,
saying
no,
to a guy, "Oh, you can't have sex," or things like that because it's normal that nothing's working. I'm like, no, that is not normal.
no. I actually, I spoke to another IFBB pro, and I just got back from, the States in April, and I was saying, you know, I've got a 10-week, a 10-week gap, and then I'm gonna start prep for the Olympia, and I was like, I'm hoping my period comes back because I usually only miss 1, maybe 2 before. Usually 1 actually, yeah, usually miss 1 the month before, and then it usually takes 3 months to come back the other side.
That's normal.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and I remember saying to her, I was like, "I'm hoping in this 10 weeks that I can get my period back." And she was like, "Well," she was like, "You chose to prep all year, that's not gonna happen." Well, I did actually get my period back, and I only lost it again, I think, in September, just before the Olympia. Um, but this is the thing, it's not a case of like, "Oh, that means I'm healthier," or whatever, but it's just so different for everyone that you can't just because you lost yours, it doesn't mean that I'm gonna lose mine,
Yeah.
um, and just because mine usually comes back after 3 months, it doesn't mean that it's going to this time. You know, your hormones are they're changing as you age, you know, especially as a woman, they're constantly changing, so you've just got to kind of go with the flow with that, but it's certainly I've never, ever, ever not had periods outside of a prep
Yeah.
scenario.
Yeah. And
You
that's the
in
worry.
your off season
Yeah.
yeah, in your off season, you should be healthy, it should be a big health focus.
Yeah. And and I think it's because the diets I see that people eat is
It's the
so
fat,
bland and
fat,
low in fat. Yeah, it's just, and I'm just like, you
yeah.
guys need to understand, like, micronutrients and these things are so important. Like, you know, I sent my blood
I
work.
My girls these days are much higher fats, I have to say. It's not something I've always done, but the last couple of years, I much prefer to go for a higher fat, lower carb approach now. Just see a much better response, not just in terms of kind of like health and bloods and mood, but also like managing appetite is actually a lot easier, when you've got higher fats in as well. Like, especially like in the early part of the day as well. You usually find, if someone comes to me and they're having like bagels or whatever for breakfast, we swap it for like a high fat protein meal. They feel fucking loads better,
You feel better.
loads better.
You don't feel tired. It's no, I really love that. And the last thing I was going to say is it's so interesting how you said girls really struggle with the off season because guys really struggle with prep because they want to be full all the time and they're like, oh, I'm flat, I need
Yeah,
to be full, and it's like, no,
I'm like
you
that. I'm like that. I'm small.
but I also say to them, it's like you're just not as big as you think you are. That's like that.
Yeah, there is that. There is
Yeah,
that. Yeah, there
yeah,
is that as
yeah.
well. Yeah,
Um,
I know.
cool. So before we go, is there anyone you'd like to thank? Anyone that you want to say any words to?
Um, well, Zach obviously
Yeah.
is the obvious one. But no, honestly, like I said, this prep was really, really, really tough for me mentally, and it did genuinely get to the point where I was just doing it because I wanted to make Zach proud. I didn't want to, let my friends and family down. Rick and the Strom lot were out there to support me. I've got some other great sponsors as well, Better Bodies, who I've worked with for the last couple of years. Even like my bikini sponsor, like I had an insane amount of support from just like the UK bodybuilding scene as a whole. It was quite overwhelming actually at times. Um, so yeah, I do massively appreciate everyone's support, and at some point it will register.
It will register at some point. Um, Look, I just want to say thank you for your time.
No
I'll
probs.
end the podcast soon, but it's been great and eye-opening as well. I think a lot of people will listen to this and go, hopefully reevaluate how they
I
approach.
need to chill out. Be more Soph. I need to chill out.
Yeah, be more. I think that's what we'll call this is be more so.
Yeah, be more Soph.
Yeah,
Have a pastry and chill out.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, thank you. I'll end the podcast here and then we can continue.
Thank you.